In June 2021, Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny launched exclusively on the Nintendo Switch. Now, 1 year later, the game is making its move over to other platforms, including PC and Steam. Currently, Disgaea 6 has no Steam Deck status, but after playing the game for about 2 hours, everything has worked great for me, and I think this game should be verified. If you've never played a Disgaea series game before, it's a tactical RPG in the vein of Fire Emblem, but it's way more stereotypical anime and a lot more over the top. You can hit crazy levels in this game and even dish out literal millions of damage to enemies. When this game initially came out, it was just on the Switch, and I heard the performance wasn't the best, so I figured I'd hold off for a while. While I am a tactical RPG enthusiast, I've only played Disgaea 5 on the Switch, which I enjoyed, but didn't complete. I figured I'd give 6 a shot, but the art style here has changed quite a bit. Now it has 3D graphics instead of 2D pixel art graphics, which can probably cause some more of the performance problems we see on the Switch. But we'll dive into it here for the Steam Deck, and the game actually runs really well, and you get great battery life here. Alright, here are the settings we're using for Disgaea 6 on the Steam Deck. Now, you can try to switch the window type off borderless, but honestly, it won't do anything. It'll just switch right back to borderless. And for this full screen resolution here, there is 800p for the Steam Deck, but I just went with 720p to try to fill my external monitor, and that didn't work, unfortunately. Now, this setting I didn't enable, but I honestly think you could because there's a lot of performance to spare here. And for dynamic resolution, you don't need to have that enabled on the Steam Deck. You're basically going to hit 60 FPS all the time, no problem. For the rest of the settings, I had them enabled or turned up to the highest setting they could be. So this game was built for the Switch initially, so I don't think it's very hard to run. Alright, so a lot of Disgaea games start this way, where it's just a slideshow essentially of text slides that are being read off to you. But this is a good check initially to see if the Steam Deck has any codec problems with the video or audio or anything. But here, all the video, audio, it works fine, so I can't really say that there's any problems here. Additionally, I'm running off essentially a full charge for the Steam Deck right now, and I've got just under 4 hours and 30 minutes of battery life remaining. These scenes are really light to run, so if you're playing on a flight or something, you'll save quite a bit of battery bouncing between gameplay and actual cutscenes like this, where you just go through the story. Alright, so this is the first level of the game, and this is the first time we're actually going to see some 3D gameplay being done here. And if you look at our GPU percentage, we're only about 60% usage. And I don't think I ever saw the GPU get above 70 degrees Celsius. So your Steam Deck's going to be staying pretty cool during this whole time because it's not going to be being used that much, to be honest with you. Maybe if you turn on that semi-transparency super sampling all the way to 2 times super sampling, it'll be more demanding. But even in little 3D scenes like this where it cuts in closer, the models are very basic here and the resolution's pretty low. So I'm glad that this game's not actually, for some reason, super demanding on the Steam Deck. And it is very easy to run. So even at a 60 FPS setting here, with all the settings turned up, essentially, we still have a bit over 4 hours of battery life with a full charge on our Steam Deck, essentially. So this is great to see. So as far as the frame time graph is concerned, it's very stable, and you're going to hit a smooth frame time like this like 99.9% of the time, I'd say. Even when using new effects for the first time, everything like that, there was no problem compiling shaders on the fly or caching them, so no stutters related to that. I did see like 1 frame stutters here and there, not very common. I don't really know what those are related to, but they are not frequent at all, so I wouldn't be too concerned about them. So this is a great game to play on the handheld. I think it really fits there. Obviously, it was on the Switch initially. So one thing you can do if you want to extend your battery life even further is drop this down to like 40 FPS or 30 FPS. This is a turn-based game, so it's not super fast-paced for reactions or anything, but I went ahead and locked this down to 40 FPS on the handheld side. I didn't record footage for that because my capture card doesn't like that very much. I was able to get about 30 more minutes of performance versus what you see here, but that's probably going to vary depending on what percentage your battery's at and what's going on. I honestly just don't think this game really pushes the Steam Deck at all, and I don't see very many games where you can hit 60 FPS like this and still get such a great battery life. So this is a great one to play on the go. Now, as far as my initial impressions of this game go, I definitely like the art style in 5 and the previous games better. I just prefer the pixel art graphics to this kind of chibi-looking 3D style. I can't understand why they want to go this direction. It's probably easier to make assets and animate them this way instead of making a ton of different pixel art assets that you need to, individually make the frames for the assets instead of just manipulating the model. Even then, some of the attacks in the older games I think looked cooler with the sprites. Here there are some pretty good looking special attacks already that I've seen from the 3D graphics, but I kind of just prefer the 2D art style. I'm sure as time progresses, if they keep making Disgaea games, that the art style in 3D will get better. Another thing that I want to say is that the stats here seem pretty inflated right off the bat. From what I remember in 5, your stats start pretty low, like in the 1s, 10s, maybe even the 100s, but here they just seem to be in the thousands and millions already right off the bat. So I think that kind of hurts your sense of progression, because when you start off with really low stats like that and then see them get way higher later in the game, it really shows you how far you've come. But here I'm already at like thousands of damage that I'm hitting for, millions of damage in this first level. I think this first level things might be pretty inflated versus how they might be later, but it just seems kind of strange to me that the numbers were just inflated for no reason. But like I mentioned at the beginning, I am a big SRPG fan or TRPG fan, so I will be playing this game on my Steam Deck. It's a great place for it, and I look forward to seeing if the game gets better and how it compares to 5 overall. That's all for now. I'll let some gameplay run here, but if you want to check out some other videos, visit my channel. I got a bunch of Steam Deck content over there. I'll be covering other games like Digimon Survive on the Steam Deck as soon as I drop, and a bunch of other things. I have Final Fantasy VII Remake on my channel, and a Skyrim modding guide. So if any of that sounds interesting, consider subscribing and liking this video. Otherwise, have a good one.